G'day, welcome back to the 40 channel. So, we've got a special guest here, Jack!
G'day.
Jack's back! How good is that?
Yes.
So, it's a rare weekend. Jack's either not working and he's not out at his pop's farm working on his cruiser.
No.
So, where's your cruiser up to?
We're up to the chassis, just finishing taking everything off the cab, and it should be ready to be sandblasted.
Ooh, sandblast. So that's pretty cool. But today we're going to strip down transfer case. So you've seen the gearbox, it was stripped, rebuilt. Oh, by the way, I got in a lot of trouble off Instagram for saying the word stripped. They banned me for 3 days. How crazy is that? You might have seen the photo. I had the gearbox stripped down with all the parts and components over the bench, and I used stripped down gearbox, and I got banned from Instagram for 3 days. So thanks a lot, Instagram. But having said that, we're going to dismantle the transfer case, clean it all up, and then following episode we'll rebuild it with a full rebuild kit, new bearings, new gaskets. Let's get into it, eh?
Let's go.
Righto. Alright Jack, first component's going to rip off. We're just going to rip off with the tail shaft, the selector housing, the Speedo housing as well. So let's get into it, mate. Now I have sprayed everything down with R1, let it soak all night, so hopefully the box should be pretty easy to come out.
Hopefully.
Let's see how we roll. 12 already?
Good. So we have 4 12mm bolts to take off the transfer selector. Said that wrong.
Slightly. Yeah, the fork is caught on it.
Feel something down the bottom left. There it is.
See it? That's your selector. Righto, there's your selector fork. And you just dropped. Look at Jack's got no safety boots on. Look at me. Look at you. Righto, so this is the same as the gearbox. You don't want to lose your spring and the ball bearing. Righto, we've got our Speedo housing. So what happens is your little Speedo cable just goes up into this thread here, and then inside there'll be a spacer and like a worm drive, and that spins as this is spinning, and it gives you a reading. Pretty simple actually. Strip that off, all 12mm bolts. I can see here that someone, obviously they haven't had the gaskets or something like that, mate, and they've used what it looks like is an ATV sort of, it's like a high temperature silicon sealant. Now, it works, but we're going to use the original gaskets, and we're going to use a chem tool sealant, which we've used the whole way through. Just to break that seal. Righto, don't lose those shims either. Okay, you can see the little gear in here. That spins right here on this worm drive. That should, yep, that'll all slide off. Just give it a quick clean up with a wire brush. If there's some gunky stuff on it. Keep all these shims. Don't use any of them or damage them. There we go. Little hook. These are really fantastic little tools, all these little hooks and stuff. Get all those shims off. It's actually quite a number of shims. And then we also got our spacer. We have this little locking tab.
Yep.
So undo that locking tab, and then we'll be able to punch out the shaft. And again, we've got to remember that it'll be the same thing, the spring and the little bore. So don't lose them. Yep, and that little tab. Righto, that's it. That's your little locking tab. Just tap it out. We're going to O-ring on the other side of it. Hang on, stand on this side. Oh, you're left-handed. When you go in, leave that in there and that'll catch the ball bearing. So keep pushing it in, tap it in. You can pull that out. There's our shaft, there's our indents. Now we need to try to put your fingers over that jack, lift the whole thing out without, so put your fingers either end, on the ends, yep, pull the pin out, yep, and then lift it straight out. Perfect. There it is. And there's a spring in there too, so sit that down, keep that aside. So now we need to take off our nut. So it's just a split pin and a nut. So just some long nose pliers. Right, I lay it on the table so it's firm against there. That's it. Pull it off. No, just pull it off. That's it. Right, see how that slides off there, mate. Too much, you don't want to break it. There you go. Alright, that's off. We've got our gear drive shaft inside here. See that in there? New bearings. We'll put new bearings and gaskets all on that. Just sit that over there for the meantime. Put that over there as well. It's our fork. That's where our selector fork goes onto it. Now we're going to do a little bit different. We're going to pull this bearing off first, and that will allow us to sort of take out the whole lot a lot easier. Some of you might have, I doubt it, the correct tool. There's a special tool from Toyota which slides in here, holds all this back gear casing back. I think it bolts onto this housing, I'm not sure. And then it allows you to tap this shaft straight out. But we're going to do a little bit different. We're going to pull that out to that point there. We can get our bearing puller on it and pull it off. Now I'm just going on the bottom part of the end of the shaft there. It won't take much to get this off. Support that up under there so it all falls off into your hand. Got it? There we go. Alright, so now what we're going to do, Jack, is we're actually going to slide this gear out. That will just slide straight out. Just like that. Slide off all our other little bits and pieces. Alright, Jack, now I told you we don't have the correct tool for the way that normally supposed to be removed, so it'll be a little bit unorthodox. All we need to do is put a spacer in between the gear and the housing to support it. I'm just going to use the end of the hammer because it's pretty much the exact size. Then on the end of the shaft, we need to put something on there to protect the thread when we knock it off. It just so happens then a spark plug socket is actually perfect for that. Straight over the end, the nice solid end we can tap that off with, and then we should be able to tap it all, hopefully just tap that shaft straight out. Take out a hammer or spacer, it doesn't need to be, just needs to be anything that's going to be fitting in between them. Slide our shaft out. There's our shaft. A little bit congested over here, let's move some stuff around. Now we can take our main gear out, so it comes out that way. Our rivets are facing the bearing. Our old bearing. Righto, now all we've got left is this one gear set in here, and then that's it. Well, it's not quite it, but that's the main part of it to go. Righto, what's next, Jack?
So now we have to unscrew this bolt.
Let's call it a shaft locking or a shaft retainer.
To pull it out. Pull that out. Oh. So then we can slide out the last gear.
Now, actually, just flick it up, Jack. On the back side of it here, we actually have like a Welsh plug. So what I'll get you to do, Jack, is when you undo that, give it a tap with a hammer that way, and that Welsh plug will just pop straight out. Then we can get our pin punch or our drift. We'll use a drift this time. We're able to punch that shaft all the way back out. So knock that out, buddy.
Just come straight out.
That was an easy one, that one. Hopefully we'll see this Welsh plug pop straight out when you give it a hit. Go. There you go.
Gone.
Shot across the workshop, but that's okay because you get a brand new replacement Welsh plug with that. But now we've done that, mate, we'll get a drift. We'll punch that shaft all the way through. Now what I want you to do is I want you to knock that shaft all the way through and leave that in there, because we have some thrust washers and we also have some shims either side of that. We don't want to lose any of that stuff or damage it. So start tapping that out. Perfect. Now what we're going to do is we're going to carefully remove our drift and just cradle up under the gear and try to catch it all and pull it all out. You don't have little hands anymore, Jack.
No.
Back in the day where I used to use Jack's hands because they were smaller than mine. Righto, perfect. Got our needle roller bearings in here. This nice machined surface, we want to make sure this does not get damaged, because that's where our thrust washers and our shims go against. So sit that over there, nice and safe, mate. Yep, that's it, they can come out. Let's move that out of the way, that's dirty. You sit it there nice and clean. Okay, so in here, thrust washers and shims. Alright, good job, Jack, but you're not quite finished.
No.
No. So all we've got left now is the old bearing. I'll get you to tap that out. The old bearing race over here. And what else have we got? Oh,
The seal.
lip seal. Good one. Alright, so roll it down on its side. We'll get a pin punch, and I want you just to tap carefully, just work side to side, and that race will pop straight out. Nice.
There's one. There you go.
Nice. Old bearing. Now we're going to chuck them out. Actually, I have a plan for them. Secret plan. Last thing left is this seal, and it'll probably be easier just get a pin punch and tap it through from the opposite side.
You gotta put it all right there.
Yep.
Tap it, go to the top, tap it, should come out.
Righto. Knock it out, mate.
There it is.
Righto, so now that's the transfer case housing all stripped down. Good job, mate. All we've got left is our output shaft and rip this seal out from here.
Don't you have a confession about a seal?
Yes, I do. So if you watched my last video of the gearbox stripped down, I actually put the output seal in the incorrect way. Now, I wasn't quite thinking straight. I'm so used to seeing the outside of the seal here that you can just screw and knock out, that I made the error of saying it was in the wrong way, and then I installed mine the wrong way. Thankfully, YouTube community reached out to me and let me know that I made that mistake. Now, we're always going to make mistakes because we're just a home workshop, and even the best of us can slip up. So thank you very much. I appreciate you guys pointing things out like that. And look, I appreciate you guys pointing out things that aren't quite right or little mistakes we make along the way, because we're just doing it with what we have. And by you guys sharing this, it brings that up with other people and lets them know that don't do it that way. So thanks for that. So getting back onto this, all we're going to do is get 2 wood screws. We're going to screw them into the seal. This is actually one of my favourite simple tools. So it was just a dent puller, slide hammer. You can make it at any slide hammer. Then I just welded some vice grips onto it. Clamp onto that screw that we just put on. Just work side to side. That is the easiest way to pull out any of these lip seals. I love it, it's fantastic. We've got this retaining ring just in here. Now it can be a little bit tricky to get out. So if you guys know an easier way to get it out than what I do, then feel free to share. But all I'm going to do, I just get my screwdriver and I pry it out like that. And then we'll pop up a screwdriver or a little hook under there, pop it out, and then it'll come straight out. The last one I did came out a lot easier than this one did.
Let's get pliers and chuck onto it.
There we go.
And grab it. He's got it.
There we go. A little bit tricky, but we're out. Now all we need to do, flip that over. We'll sit that in the vise and we'll just tap that straight out. All right, so all we're gonna do is tap that out. I'm just gonna put a bit of a cloth there. Whoops. That way I can sit it on there. That way when it falls out, the cloth's gonna catch it. Unless you've got 2 people, one person can put their hand under and catch it, but Jack's behind the camera. So I'm just using that same spark plug spinner. Done. Now to remove the bearing, we'll just do exactly the same, but turn that over. Exactly the same process, put that on top. Oh, we dropped it. After all that, I dropped it. But you can see, there you go. Anyway, you can see how the cloth's supposed to work. Catch it, and we haven't damaged it, thank goodness. But anyway, that's it. That bearing is redundant as well. One last thing left, I'll swap cameras and Jack can knock out this outer race from the bearing and then we're done.
So you got like a little, almost like a keyhole.
Yep.
But it's to knock it out. So you just get your pin punch, sit it in that hole and just start knocking.
That's why you wear safety equipment, Jack.
Nah.
That could have landed on your foot.
There we are.
Lucky.
Lucky, lucky.
See these? Steel cap boots. See that? What are they?
Shoes.
No, they're not. Did you step on something?
Stepped on a bolt.
Yeah.
Fine.
Should have had shoes on. Safety first, people. Don't take Jack's example in the workshop.
Oh, no.
Righto, so the transfer case is I can't say that word. I'll get banned from Instagram.
Dismantled.
Again. Dismantled, disassembled, pulled down in many parts. Anyway, thanks mate, we've done that, so that's fantastic. What we'll do now is we'll just inspect all the parts. We're going to clean everything up because it's all in a pretty yucky condition. So we'll clean it all up and we've got a full rebuild kit to go on it. And that comes with new gaskets, new O-rings, new seals, new felts, all new bearings, even new nuts, new Welsh plug, the one we knocked out, and it even comes with a new counter shaft. So the one we've knocked out actually has a tiny little bit of wear, just here, look at that, where the bearings really taken away the hard casing on that. So we get a new shaft, so we've got the whole lot, so that's fantastic. I don't know, will we be lucky enough to have Jack back on the rebuild?
Maybe.
Maybe. We'll see. Between work and working on your cruiser and school, we don't get you down here much anymore, do you?
No.
Well, not for stuff like this. You're still very helpful, and you've got your own project.
Yes.
But anyway, it was really good to have Jack back just for a full strip down, because the good thing is, unlike the 3-speed gearbox, where parts are very hard to come by and you can't buy rebuild kits, the transfer case, it hasn't really changed much all the way through. So rebuild kits are easy to come by, and this one's from Online Auto Parts. If you're in the States, fjparts.com, they sell the same rebuild kit. So jump on, grab the stuff you need, and it'll make life so much easier putting it all back together. But anyway, guys, again, really appreciate your support. If you want to support us a little bit more, you can jump on, you can buy some merch. So we've got our hats, we've got our shirts. Jack's not wearing any of our gear today. Thanks for supporting us. But yeah, Reef Monkey, jump on there and you can get some gear, which is pretty cool. Anyway, again, feel free to leave a comment down below. Keep a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to keep up with the build and what's going on. We do little updates with Jack's build as well every now and then as well, so it's all happening. Anyway, until next time.
Thanks for watching. We haven't said that in a while.
No, you haven't.